National Historic Landmark of St. Eves, I think that we are missing a tremendous opportunity to both make economic use of the historic landmark and the site, the views, and even a synergy with National Harbor, which is the new city, as you know, just south of it in Prince George's County, by having tourism be an important piece of a mixed-use, vibrant urban plan. The question then is how does Homeland Security become part of the solution rather than part of the problem? And the answer is if they had a smaller presence that was more urban integrated rather than having too much that needs to be so secure because it's too much of a target. And the virtual consolidation, which would allow them to put offices near where employees already live, connected on fiber optic networks, would enable them to be a catalyst for revitalization rather than to overwhelm the site. And I don't know if this is a technology and a thought process that you have had the opportunity to give thought to, but I'm hopeful that with President Obama and his new CIO, Chief Information Officer, that there is actually a new frame of mind to enable you to do much more good than the road that is being pursued right now.
I'd be very interested in the use of new technology to be helpful to us. We were able to get the density lowered by moving one of the buildings, perhaps across the street actually, to the other side. It's still rather dense. The St. Eves, first of all, this is already reinvigorating Martin Luther King Avenue, so make no mistake about that. People are holding property that they have already come to tell us before a single thing has been done on Martin Luther King Avenue. Main corridor, Ward 8, these two properties on either side are chiefly responsible for the decline and fall of Ward 8. Not anything that's happening in it. No ward could thrive when their main drag had these two hunks of, for decades on the side of it. The property itself has been preserved all this time. Remember, the district has the other side. The federal government refused to give the other side, doesn't give anybody anything. Actually, I had to work very hard on the land transfer bill that got the Poplar Point, and that had to be done through a very sleight of hand that was the transfer of some other kinds of property to the district in return for getting some much more valuable property up in Reservation 13 and Poplar Point. On this one, the federal government was adamant. It doesn't have the space here to build what it should build. This was and is a signature cabinet agency that must remain in the district. That's what the law says. So it's going to be here, and there's no place for it to be but St. Eves. Whether there's some, they know that all property can't get there. They're only talking about putting 4 or 5 properties. There must be, agencies rather. There must be 22 agencies. I'm on the Homeland Security Committee in addition. There are 22 agencies. So they by no means are going to pack them all in there. They already had to lower the density because of the concern many of us had about it. In terms of its tourism prospects, we know that people will be able to get to see the view. One of the parts of that makes it particularly valuable to us. Beyond that, if there is some technology that could more than say, wouldn't this be nice to be used for another purpose? One of the most valuable thing about having the federal government at all is that nobody would touch that property with as many historic buildings as it has on it unless the federal government pays to preserve them. We can not, the fact that the federal government does have a statute that says you must preserve historic properties is why, for example, the old post office, which I finally could have done it themselves, the administration was keeping it from going through. Now we have a RFP coming out on the old post office building right here in the middle of the universe, a building that is a total waste. which obviously could be used for very imaginative purposes, the federal government is going to have to contribute in order to preserve that building. And anything that goes on in St. E's is going to have a lot of federal money in it, because the commitment is to reuse as many of the buildings as possible. So much of the Homeland Security is going to be in smaller buildings that already exist there. We haven't gotten there yet, so while there is a master plan, certainly if you have anything that, again, could give them an offer they can't refuse. Again, I've got to be able to talk about, and I had a horrible time getting the density down until we finally just had to remove one of the buildings. That was a great way to do it. I can't come up with too many buildings to remove because there's not any place to go in the District of Columbia. We build on every blade of grass as it is. So this is the kind of question that I would very much invite you to come and talk to me about so that I'm in touch with the details. What I do before I go forward with anything is think like a lawyer. What is my opponent going to say? If I think about what they will say, I come armed. If I go simply saying what I want, I am the one that will be disarmed. I don't like being disarmed. Another question?
I think that
I'm going to have to.
one more question.